Proudly part of the LGBTQ community. I've always stood up for my community whenever I needed to. I want to focus, but the reason that LGBTQIA rates are so high in this country isn't just because we're part of the community. It's because there are people like you who make us feel like we don't belong.
Pure boogeyman. You're pretending that someone committed suicide because of Candace Owens. You've got no facts here. You're just going at. They used to smoke a lot. They also were used to eat people, so I don't know if we should be taking our cues from cannibals.
I'm just saying, I don't think you're really addressing what I'm asking. I'm saying that
I think I've addressed it like 20 times, and you're just not wanting to hear it because you want to believe that there were trans Native Americans that were chopping off their genitals. They weren't. But I'm, again, happy to educate. They weren't chopping their off. So no, this is a different thing that we're dealing with here.
Of course, if you're losing, you're going to say it's not fair.
Don't ask me a question and then cut me off when I give you the answer. It's just obnoxious. It really is.
古代にもトランスジェンダーは存在したんだから賛成しなければならない。こんにちは皆さん。エディタです。今回の動画なんですけど、保守派活動家のキャンダス・オーウェンズさんとトランスジェンダー賛成派のポリコレ左翼学生の集団との討論の様子ですね。何千年も前からネイティブアメリカンの原住民にもトランスジェンダーはいたというとんでも理論は必見です。では頑張って翻訳しましたので一緒に見ていきましょう。ではどうぞ。
What do you have to say to the trans students on this campus who actively feel victimized by your presence here today? Additionally, you just pointed out that this man detransitioned, but earlier in your speech...
Guys, I want to hear her. Go ahead. What do I have to say? Just the question, please. No speech. What is the question?
What do you have to say to the trans students on this campus who feel actively victimized by your presence here?
Life's tough. Get a helmet, man. I'm too pregnant for this. Next question. My goodness. Seriously, somebody just give out free hugs or something somebody give out free hugs. I can't be your mommy, okay? I'm too pregnant. I can't be your mommy.
As a non-binary person, what do you have to tell me about my identity? Because I know for a fact I'm not confused.
Okay, next question. Great statement. That's a statement. That's a statement. Okay, you know your identity. You're not confused. Congratulations, sweetheart. Thank you very much for your statement.
My question isn't specifically about anything you really said tonight, although I don't really agree with anything you said.
Okay.
I'm proudly part of the LGBTQ community. I've always stood up for my community whenever I needed to. I want to focus specifically on, I've been listening to you for a little bit just to understand some things. And I found it very perplexing to me how you choose to only focus on the things that are negative when it comes to the queer community.
Sorry, when it comes to what community?
The queer community.
Okay.
Do you not realize that people like you and people like the people you're around and that, continue to have this idea of us are the reason we feel that we have to be so openly proud of who we are. Your demented homophobic and transphobic rhetoric and rants just further prove our point that we have to fight loudly to be respected. The reason that LGBTQIA rates are so high in this country isn't just because we're part of the community. It's because there are people like you who make us feel like we don't belong.
性転換手術をすることでトランスジェンダーになり、今まで感じていた苦しみから解放されると感じていた人が、注射したホルモンの影響や理想と現実のギャップに悩み、うつ病になる人が多いという結果が出ているようですね。2015年の結果では、未成年のトランスジェンダーの3人に1人が自殺未遂、そしてレズビアン、ゲイ、バイセクシャルに比べ、2倍のトランスジェンダーが自殺願望を持つという統計も出ているようですね。
The only LGBTQ agenda we have is
okay. Is there a question in there or a speech?
Yes.
You got to ask a question, buddy. I know you wrote this out in your notes, but ask a question. Let's go.
How do you think other people who, with your beliefs, respond to the fact that your hateful and harmful rhetoric costs the lives of queer children every single day, on average, every 45 seconds?
Okay, so this is just going to be a pure boogeyman. You're pretending that someone committed suicide because of Candace Owens. You've got no facts here. You're just going, it's your rhetoric that's causing all of this.
Hi, I'm wondering, there are dozens of words for two-spirited people that would now be considered LGBTQ or trans people in the native languages. So I'd like to know how, as these people have existed for thousands of years before you were alive or anyone else in this room was alive, and before anyone even colonized America, if trans people were around then, I'm just wondering why you think it is that trans people are only here now because the media is telling people these things?
Well, do you think it's weird that I graduated with 0 trans people? What do you think has contributed to the explosion of transgender people from the time that I was in high school? I'll ask you a question back. If this was just a natural thing, and I don't know what you're talking about with two-spirit people, is this like a Native American tribe, like high smoke, talking about your spirit? I'm asking you seriously, because when I think of Native American tribes talking about their spirits, I know that they used to smoke a lot. They also were used to eat people, so I don't know if we should be taking our cues from cannibals. But
I think
can you
that's
explain
kind
to me
of
what
ridiculous.
two-spirit is in the history?
There are people that would now be considered trans people that did not feel that they fit
What
the
part,
binary
though?
gender.
Native Americans? I'm asking you.
Yes, I'm telling you that not only in one Native American tribe, but in multiple tribes, there were dozens of terms that referred to people that would now be considered trans, and that was hundreds of years ago. So I'm just wondering why you think that people are only trans now because the media is telling them to be.
Well, I told you, because of the proliferation. So you can't just go from having 0% to suddenly 25%
Right, but what
of
I'm
people.
saying is that these people were around
Yeah.
for thousands of years.
Well, what you're saying is that some Native American tribes had people that would be considered trans today,
People that
something that we
were
can't fact check
trans.
because they're dead.
It's
right?
historical knowledge.
It's historical
documented.
knowledge that there were trans Native Americans.
Yes.
I really don't think that's historical knowledge. But here's what
should look
I'll
it up
answer.
then.
I don't think that there were
Well, I'm telling
trans
you that
Native
there
Americans.
were.
I will educate myself on the trans Native Americans that were running around America. But here's what I'll say: Native Americans were also. You know that fact? Did you educate yourself on the
All
fact?
Native Americans were
So should
cannibals?
we just assume that it's natural for us to be eating humans because Native Americans?
I think that don't apply to what I'm asking at all.
It exactly applies to what you're asking. You're saying that you found a piece of historical knowledge, which I would genuinely love to fact check, that there were
Okay.
trans
Do you want some
Native
names?
Americans of their trans names. Yes,
Lozen, Datese, Hastinkla, Oshtish, Wehwa.
these were trans Native Americans.
Yes.
これネイティブアメリカンからしたらたまったもんじゃないですよね。左翼の思想にまみれた学者が日本の先祖にはトランスジェンダーがいたんだという本を書いて、それに影響された日本に全く関係のない欧米人が日本には最古から性転換の文化があったんだから尊重すべきだっていう人を想像してみてください。
Okay, I think what you're saying is that they probably found some that they thought that they had different spirits, because we know that Native Americans were incredibly spiritual. There's no question
Are
about
you
that.
not
Which
spiritual? You believe in God?
is, I do believe in God. Yes.
So
That doesn't make me believe in trans people. That doesn't make me believe that you can switch your parts. I don't believe they were performing surgeries, and you can let me know, but I don't believe that in Native American history they were performing surgeries trying to switch their genitals because they thought that they were born in the
there
wrong
were people
body.
that felt that they didn't belong in the binary
Feelings.
genders that we have.
Okay, so you're talking about somebody in the history of Native American history had a feeling that they were, and now you're saying that they're trans.
I'm just saying, I don't think you're really addressing what I'm asking. I'm saying that
I think
trans
I've addressed it
people
like
have been
20 times, and you're just not wanting to hear it because you want to believe that there were trans Native Americans that were chopping off their genitals. They weren't. But I'm, again, happy to educate myself and explore.
Yeah.
Maybe there was a Native American that was chopping off genitals. Happen to have, in my family, a Native American history, never heard of it, but I'm definitely happy to dive into it. I think what you're probably facing is a rewrite of history where they're taking something that was just an idea, of a spiritual idea, where people, and you see this today, who take ayahuasca, they have a trip, they go back, they say that they realize they were a man in a prior life. This is very common when people take drugs, which the Native Americans did, but again, they weren't chopping their off. So no, this is a different thing that we're dealing with here. Next question.
Hello. So my question is also about trans people, because it's specifically about trans people competing in sports, because I think everyone here can agree we need to protect women's sports. So recently in Texas, there was a boy who won the girls wrestling state championship. Do you think that he should have been allowed to compete in that division?
I think that a man taking down a woman on a map should warrant a call to the police.
Wonderful.
And should not, of course, be considered a sport.
Because he was actually born female and forced to compete in that division despite being on HRT.
I am so open to transgender people. Like, if they want to have their own division, go for it. I literally, in fact, I would love to watch it. I actually would love to watch it. If you are opting in as a man, as a woman, to having a man take you down on a mat, that is totally fine for me. But what is unacceptable is that we have these divisions. This is for women, this is for men, and you have people that are allowing men to compete in these women's divisions and to obviously dominate, because going back to biology, men, of course, are stronger than women. They are always going to be stronger and faster than women.
It's like how Leah Thomas went from getting second place in a race as a man to winning the race.
ここで話に出ているトランス水泳選手というのはリア・トーマスという元男性トランスジェンダー水泳選手のことで、リアは体は男性として生まれ心は女性という理由で女性を自認しているから女性選手と競って OK と許可が出た世界初のトランスジェンダー選手です。男性選手としてはパッとしない彼が女性選手になった瞬間にどの大会でも優勝し始めたと当時とても大きな話題を呼びましたね。
Yeah, it's completely unacceptable and it's fraudulent, and the people.
Exactly, going from second to first does not happen naturally. Yeah.
And so I think sorry, I don't going
Leah
from
Thomas, the swimmer who came in second place in
as
the
a
men's
man,
Ivy
that's
League
right. Yeah,
championships.
yeah, and then he just switched his
And then-
gender and suddenly was dominating.
Went from second to first. As someone who competed in athletics in college and high school myself, no one ever goes from second place to first place.
Okay, so if you Leah Thomas was not in second place when he was competing with men.
He absolutely was. If you look at the
No, he was
2019
not.
Ivy League
Riley Gaines,
championships,
no.
I literally
That is not
look
true.
at the statistics. Ivy League championships
That is
2019
not true.
men's
He
division
went-
in the 100 free for both the prelims and the finals. She
Okay,
came
let
in
me put it
second.
this way. Let's just maybe there was one race that he came in second place
Ivy
in.
League Championships
Fine.
is one
Okay,
race.
thumbs up. Riley Gaines, who has spoken about how she competed against Leah Thomas and it was not fair. Leah Thomas suddenly switching your gender, competing against women is not fair. I am
Of course,
open
if
to
you're
Leah
losing, you're going to
Thomas.
say it's not fair.
Don't ask me a question and then cut me off when I give you the answer. It's just obnoxious. It really is. I am open to Leah Thomas and every other trans person having their own category at the Olympics and allowing them to compete. That is absolutely fine. Having their own category at high school universities, at high schools, at universities, everywhere across the country, and being able to compete. What I am not open to are biological men competing against women. If you want evidence that biological men will always defeat women, look no further than the actual Olympics and look at the time differences as it is when men are competing in a sprint versus women competing in a sprint, when men are competing in a throw versus when women are competing in a throw. If you don't want to acknowledge biological reality, I want you to lead the trans Olympics. I want you to be the person that establishes the trans events for people. Thank you for your question. There's more people behind you.
Okay, I love that your solution is separate but equal.
What? So we already have a what? Your solution is separate but equal? What are you talking about? We already have men and women divisions. So is that separate but equal? Next question.
いやー皆さん動画どうでしたか？どの活動家の学生も彼女と討論しに来てるのに彼女の話を聞こうとせず彼女に論破されたら感情的になっている人が多い印象でしたね。あなたのような人がいるからトランスジェンダーの率が上がるって思想の自由がなくなってしまったんでしょうか？どうやらリベラル派が望む世界はとても物騒なもののようですね。では現地の声いくつか紹介していきますね。They were triggered because a biological pregnant woman stood in front of them. Imagine the risk of hiring one of these people to work with you and be on your team. God help the future employers of these kids. I love how not a single person actually asked a question. They just wanted to go out there and hear themselves talk. Love this video. I'm so scared to have kids in the future. I'm still in high school, but seeing how everybody acts and what people believe now is just horrifying. Dear trans community, don't tell me I have to accept you for who you are when you couldn't even accept yourself for who you were. I'm Native American and I've never heard such hogwash in my life. I don't know what book she's been reading or things she's been studying. Tell her to speak to a real Native American. 皆さんの考えもコメント欄で教えてくださいね。今回 YouTube にバンされないように編集してみましたけどどうでしたか？このチャンネルではマジかよっていう欧米ニュースを楽しく取り扱ってます。チャンネル登録していただけるととっても喜びますんでよろしくお願いします。では良い一日を。